What's up, guys? This is Thad from Seventh Circle Podcast. Welcome to episode 1, season 1. Today I sat down with the awesome people of G.D.P, or should I say gross domestic people of G.D.P. And yeah, they're a rock band, to me, I'm not the best with saying what genres are, unfortunately, but to me they're like an experimental rock mixed with a little bit of jazzy type, vibey type of music. Listen to them for yourself. You come up with your own opinion. That's why you got one. But yeah, I sat down with those guys today and we talked about their upcoming EP, which will be out, I believe, September 13th. They have a release show here in Roswell, New Mexico at Farley's. So if you're interested, go check that out. Yeah, we talked from everything from how the band started to name changes to how they met, crazy show stories, things like that, and also a couple of personal things here and there. So yeah, so this is my very first episode of my very first podcast, and yeah, so as to throw it out there, I want to say a huge thank you to these guys for coming out. Also a huge thank you to my friend Bryce Davis, who inspired me to even start a podcast. He introduced me into podcasts a few months ago and got me really hooked on them, so I decided I was going to do my own. For those of you that don't know, my friend Bryce Davis and also my other friend Garrett Campbell, they have a podcast called 3-on-1 Podcast. Feel free to check that out. They review movies and get drunk and say a bunch of nonsense shit, which is honestly my favorite thing in the entire world, and that's why they're my best friends. So yeah, check that out. They have episodes every week, and I'm actually a special guest on a couple of their episodes, so go check that out. Big thank you to everyone that's listening today, and big thank you to anyone that's going to continue to listen. Once again, this is Seventh Circle Podcast, and you are listening to my conversation with G.D.P. We're going to start off with introducing yourselves and what you do in the band. So go ahead and go down the line.
All right, I'm Will Weber. I'm vocalist, singer, write lyrics.
Jeff Cabana, I play drums.
Carlos Brady, songwriter, and I play guitar.
Brady Chambers, I play guitar.
Jocelyn Smith, I play bass.
Awesome. And then Will, if you could bring the mic up just a little bit.
Yeah, for
Perfect. All right. So when did the band come to be?
So
G.D.P.
The band first started, it was just me, Carlos, and Jocelyn, probably about 2 years ago now.
2017,
Yeah.
August.
It was just the three of us. I met them through other friends, and we started jamming. They were like, hey, we got a drum set. We're writing songs, come over and play. So I was like, all right. And we started jamming and playing songs and whatnot. And we did that for about almost a year, just the three of us. We even did some gigs. We'd go out and just play instrumentals.
Yeah,
and then I would tell like dirty jokes in between.
Yeah,
and,
I remember.
Things like that, just make people laugh. And then Brady came on as another guitarist because we had tried a few times to bring on extra people, and none of them ever panned out. So we brought Brady on, and he added a bunch of new stuff. And then Will came on. He was the newest member about a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago in August.
Yep.
October.
No, it was August.
Was it August?
It was August.
Yeah, it was August
celebrated
when
it
he first came over.
because we just celebrated our band anniversary.
Yes.
Very cool, very cool.
Nice.
So, with bringing Brady and Will in, was it when you guys started it? Was it always going to be something like serious, or was it just something that like a hobby?
I started this as a spoof in our living room.
Yeah,
We did not plan to get this serious or this big, this much.
doing this much.
Yeah,
at
it's
this
crazy,
amount,
man. It's hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys are busy. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
you guys are.
You know, man.
It's good. It's
Yeah.
good. So originally you guys were Granddaddy Perp, correct?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what inspired the name change?
We wanted to go a little more serious once we brought on a singer.
Yeah.
That was really what the name change is about. Will came in and we're like, all right, let's go a little more serious, but we loved the initials,
Keep
the
the
way
GDP.
GDP
Yeah.
rolled. We're like, let's find something else. So we decided to just kind of do a play on the whole gross domestic product, except we're gross domestic people.
Yeah.
Because people really are the product.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, that's cool. So who came up with the name?
Initially, I approached Jeff. Marie Manning, she booked us for our first show at Stellar, man.
Uh-huh.
Just me, Jeff, and Joss. And we didn't have a freaking name. You know, we had a 20-minute set, but we didn't have a name. So I was like, oh man, we need a name so bad. So of course we're 420 friendly in this band, you know. So I was like, hey man, what about GDP? Like, what do you think?
Just
dude?
threw
And
something together
it just
to
stuck.
have a name.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was
Yeah.
never, we were actually never going to keep that name
No,
on the
no.
first gig.
Uh-huh.
We were like,
This
oh,
is
we'll come up with our own name
Yeah.
after this gig.
Well, we just need one right now. We'll do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so we just named it after our favorite strain.
Yep. There
And
you
after
go.
that, people were asking us, "What's your name?" GDP, I guess.
I couldn't think of anything else, so I just kept saying GDP.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's stuck.
People kept calling us that.
Right?
Now we gotta call ourselves that.
Heck yeah, man. So as far as your guys' in your own individual selves, what's your biggest inspiration as far as music? Doesn't really necessarily have to be like the band as far as inspiration, but you as a musician, whether you as a singer, you as a drummer, down the line, what's your biggest inspiration?
Okay.
Life.
Dang,
I've
that was
been writing. I don't know. It's kind of generic, but I don't, the stuff I write is a lot lately. Just kind of like sappy, kind of generic. Is how I feel. It comes across well. Like I feel like we deliver it well.
Yeah.
But I just feel like one of the newest songs that we just wrote. It's about me and my wife's relationship.
Okay.
And so I touch on that. We touch on a little bit of political stuff. We have the song "The Cellar," which is super, political. And
Yeah.
Okay. But you, Jeff?
I've always been a musician, even when I was like a tot. Like my mom would give me spoons and pots and pans and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
It's just always been in my blood. And then, even after about 6 years ago, I had an accident where I got shot. I'm no longer able to use two of the fingers on my right hand.
Jeez.
So,
I didn't
I
know
was a
about that.
guitarist and a bassist for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So it kind of like that really took a lot of it out of me. And I spent a while just kind of thinking on it and ready to quit music altogether after that.
That's
and then
tough.
one day I started like messing around. I had, my studio. I had a recording studio here in Roswell, and I just started playing around on drums. And I'm like, I don't even need those fingers for drums.
So you weren't a drummer first. You were.
No. I mean, I dabbled in the past.
Yeah.
With drums.
But you
being
didn't take
in
it
bands.
as serious until
Right.
that. Wow, that's crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah.
We're actually sitting in the room with one of the people that inspired me, man, Will Weber. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Hank, but I
James Hetfield.
actually started out as a screamer, man. I wanted to pursue that, and actually scream for the band you were in for a long time. Amy's Not Breathing.
Oh yeah, they told me when we
yeah.
played the skate park show.
You know, and I don't know, something about the guitar just captivated me, man, and I just wanted to be able to get that feeling out there, and I just couldn't do it with my voice, you know. So, that's the people around me inspired me to do what I do today, pretty much, man.
Very cool. Very cool.
So I wanted to get out of designated reading in 5th grade. And they said if you take orchestra, you can get out of designated reading. You don't have to take the reading part. Like you just go to the orchestra
Fuck
class
yeah, I'll play
every
the
Friday.
violin.
Be like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, right?
yeah, let's do it. I'll play violin. And then I kind of liked it. It was fun. And then
Wait, did you actually play the violin?
yeah, I actually played the
fuck
violin.
yeah, I got it right.
Yeah. And then in middle school, our orchestra teacher was like, we really, really, really need bass players.
Oh, okay.
So I volunteered to play bass, and somebody else did. And she ended up not dropping out, but dropping off the face of the earth. I have no clue what happened to her, but it was middle school, so.
It's the government.
You'll end up marrying her one day now. You're going to run
Crazy,
into her
right?
randomly.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
No,
Dude,
it was-
life is like that.
It was the
Right.
government, bro.
It was the government, yeah.
Well, that's how
But,
being a
so
station
I
She
picked
knew-
up
she knew
bass
too much.
and played it all throughout high school and middle school, and then me and who was it? Esteban Holguin.
Uh-huh.
Is that how you say his last name?
Holguin, yeah.
I've only seen it written.
Yeah. I'm like, what's up?
It's like
Now we know.
Esteban. Yeah. Mr.
But
H.
he's like, let's start a band. I was like, all right, let's start a band. So we started like 8 different bands, and none of those panned out. And then started playing guitar for Civil Black. And then
Little fun fact about Brady. Once upon a time, he was in almost every band in Roswell.
a lot of bands. I have, yeah.
Yeah. I think I remember when you were in a lot of bands. I remember one time we played that thing that Bert did. Bert Cruz. He did that,
Oh,
that
yeah.
show.
Zia Fest.
Yeah,
that's
Zia
what
Fest.
it
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
and
adult
I
center.
forget what band it was. It was one of the earlier bands. But I remember like some band was setting up, and they're like we need one more person. Like we're waiting for one more person, and then Brady runs through the door. And he just runs and jumps on stage really fast, grabs his bass, and then immediately it starts. I forget what band that was.
Oh, was it Aesthetic?
Yeah, it had to have been Aesthetic.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was. It was. I just
Remember
remember
that.
like you were like a minute late, but I remember like everyone just standing there waiting, and then the door pushes open. I turn around, and you're just like walking. You're not like running. You're just walking really, really, really fast. And then not missing a beat, jumped up and played. I remember that. I was like, he's in another band. Jesus
funny.
Christ.
That was a fun show. I wish
It was a
somebody
good
would
show.
pick up the Zia Fest again.
That was awesome. That was
ZFest
like
needs to come back.
that
Bring
was
back
way too
ZFest
fun.
2020.
Your turn, Joss.
Well, I think a lot of my influences are from my mom and my dad. I grew up listening to vinyl, but I wasn't listening to like, regular 80s music. It was like Joni Mitchell and the Beatles. And I grew up listening to a lot of obscure music and just hearing that, and then having my mom play acoustic guitar and my uncle plays bass, and just kind of growing up with it kind of influenced me, and I've always kind of, that's always stuck with me. And, I think that's why I started out playing acoustic guitar and, picking up the bass. I think I love playing the bass because it has that heartbeat. It has that, it's the heart of the band basically. And
Yeah, when it's
you know.
gone, you can.
yeah,
tell,
for sure. So, I think a lot of my influence was my parents, because they were just hippies, and just growing up listening to vinyl, all the time. So, it was, I think that's my biggest one, and I love playing bass and I love playing for the band. It's really awesome.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, Jocelyn actually just started playing bass, about 7-8 months before we started, the three of us.
Yeah.
Picking it up initially.
Initially kind of just messing
She'd
with
always
it.
Yep.
dabbled in the past. you
Yeah.
know,
Right,
but
right. But she
as-
started
Yeah.
playing bass seriously. Just a couple of years ago, and within a year and a half, she's already played every venue in town.
Yes.
She's already played
Mhm.
the biggest venues in town.
Yes.
And I tell people all the time how proud I am of Jocelyn because she's like honestly what most of us musicians would call a noob.
Yes.
Mhm.
In the
She's
realest
far
terms.
from that.
But she's already opened for international acts.
Yeah.
Like, Jocelyn's been shared the stage with Hemlock recently,
Hawthorne
Heights,
Heights
and
As
we're
Cities
gonna
Burn.
we're gonna be opening for
Escape the Fate.
Escape the Fate. Yeah, I mean that's that's
And
pretty-
just
come
being
a long way in a short
girl,
time.
That's
there's
what we've
not a
tried
girl,
to
a
do
lot of girl
for
bass
10,
players in
12
town
years
anyway.
as musicians,
it's-
and
It's pretty rare to see a girl bass player. I'm finding out, just being a girl bass player that it's, there's not.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's what I tell a lot of little girls because, we do some things at the Boys and Girls Club.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff
I see
teaches
the
a
post,
class.
Yeah.
And I tell the little girls, I'm like, you don't have to be a male. Like, it's not just a male's chord anymore. You get out there and rock with the rest of them.
Yep.
I did. And, and they're like, oh, really? Like, they're really like, we can do this
the
too,
younger girls
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
really looked up to Jocelyn.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's
Very
something good.
inspiring.
too.
Yeah.
That's hard to find nowadays. Like
Yeah.
like you say, you never really see female in bands
Right.
too much
like
anymore.
you're seeing them like internationally, but
Yeah.
small
Yeah.
towns you don't really see a
It's
lot
still
of.
a novelty.
Yeah.
And when you see a band with a girl member, you're like, whoa, they got a girl.
Yeah. Even
Yeah.
like a bigger band,
Yeah.
you hardly see them.
Well, like
Yeah.
a lot of bands think that I'm just like the merch girl, and then when I pick
Oh,
up my
yeah.
bass, they're like,
it
Oh,
blows them away.
okay.
yeah. And that's cool. That's a good thing to really like. kinda
Yeah.
Put some. I mean, not everyone's that judgmental, but it's cool when you meet
Right.
someone that's like that, and you're like, oh no, I can do this.
Yeah.
Plus,
Right.
she puts that nice feminine touch on
Yeah.
everything, man, that we could not deliver if we tried.
Right? Yeah, she's that bass player and the band
Yeah.
mom.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, no, don't do that.
Stop, please.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yes.
Like,
What
I
happened
think we
last
should rethink.
time?
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Did you learn my lesson there?
Yeah. Are we really doing this again?
Oh man. Cool. Okay, so where did like all of you guys meet?
Here in Roswell.
Here in
basically.
Roswell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've known Brady for quite a while. Like we've done other bands together,
Yeah.
and he helped me run the studio. I recorded Will's album with
Yep.
Afterthought, yeah.
And
I
ever
do
since I
remember that.
recorded that, I was like, damn, one day I want to work with Will. I
And
almost
me
tried
and-
to pull him into a reggae band for
Me and
yeah,
Carlos
we were
actually
trying to
met
replace
Brady
Bob.
and
Yep.
and Jeff through our skate show because we had a skate shop and it got set up and you Hank played it and that's how we met Jeff and Brady because they were going to help us until it got rained out. But then we just kind of, I just recently met Will through.
Yeah, I've known
Carlos,
Will
so-
since I was about 14. I met
Yeah,
him
I
at
was gonna say, well, it's
Hastings.
been at least probably probably 15 years.
Yeah.
At least.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Wow,
Nice.
wow. Like, we used to hang out at Unity Center shows and after.
Yep.
So go back.
Yeah.
Way back.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
still the air.
Yeah, that's
control
where I
center?
was
Yeah,
at.
when it was over there on
I went to
College.
the Uni Center when it was over there at the airport, so I'm
Yeah.
old. I remember when it was over there.
Videos. It looks like it was.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
it
never got to
was.
see it at
There
the
was
old
a few-
spot.
It was
Yeah.
amazing, guys.
It
was-
Wow.
I hear like really good things, and I've seen
Yeah.
videos, and it looks like it was like
Yeah.
it was crazy cool.
Yeah.
First time I went to the UC was when it was at the Boys and Girls Club, and I was 12.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's when I started. So
You guys moved. They moved here like pretty much right after I moved to Roswell.
Mhm.
yeah,
So I never got to see any of the old ones, but I've seen pictures, videos.
I remember because I didn't get. I went to the Boys and Girls Club when it was there, and it was always super cool there. It was like in a cafeteria type area.
Mhm.
So it was
Yeah.
kind of weird, but it was like it was awesome. I was
Yeah.
and, like it was just like I think being so young too on top of it was awesome
Yeah.
because I was like 12 and I was like, I've never seen a live band in my entire life. And
Right.
I went and saw him. I think the first live band I ever seen was actually Amy's Not Breathing.
Oh, nice.
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 That's
Brian
cool.
in the
Same.
band.
Yeah.
Oh,
man.
way back when.
You know, it's kind of cool because you were talking about the Boys and Girls Club. The other day, I was picking my kids up at school, and they were having trouble. One of the the vans go around and pick kids up for the after school and stuff. One of the vans was having trouble, and I was at the red light. Next thing I know, I look over and there's like 8, 9 kids like hanging out the windows, hi,
Yeah.
like waving at me and yelling hi, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. Like, damn, they remembered us.
We're famous. We made it, guys.
Right?
Not quite
Right?
yet, man. Not quite
Recognized by
yet.
third
Far
graders.
from famous.
That's awesome. So to kind of go back on something that probably that's not too much music for you guys, what was it like having that skate shop that you guys owned for a while in the flea market?
Oh well, the impact it had on the community, man, was mind blowing.
It was
Just
phenomenal.
to see those kids like turn their lives
Yeah.
around and like just
we were really trying to
want
get them out
do
to
those
do
things.
not be criminals,
Yeah.
so to speak. And that's why, we did it, not just selling boards. I mean, we were
Yeah, it
really
was way
trying
more
to get
than a business.
them
Boards
into
were
the
just kind of
community.
like
Yeah.
an add-on.
An add-on,
really,
but
yeah.
we had a skate team, and we were trying to get them into competitions, and we would travel, trying to get them
Yeah.
into these,
Yeah.
statewide competitions, and just I think the music goes hand in hand with the skate thing, and that's kind of how it all
the
came
band
about,
together. Yep.
because just trying to do our skate show, but it did have a big influence. We were in the parade. We got banned from the parade because of some incidents, but
Oh,
we were in the
jeez.
parade, so we're not
When
allowed
you
on Main
stall
Street
on
anymore.
An ambulance, yeah, you better
Yeah.
expect some
There's
flack.
nothing more rock and roll than getting banned for
Right.
stuff.
yeah, that's rock and roll right there.
Especially
But,
community events.
If
Yeah.
if we had the opportunity to continue the skate shop, we would still be running today, man. But unfortunately, the way the economy was, the way things work out, sometimes you just don't make it.
It's
But
rough,
that doesn't
yeah.
mean you failed, man.
Right.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you
Well,
still
you know,
change
it's-
somebody's life,
You
and that's
spark
what's
something.
important.
Right.
Yeah.
And with community, you've got to support it, and a lot of nobody, we got some support, but you still get that skater like, oh gosh, like their
Oh,
hoodlum
skate
side,
stereotypes.
you know.
Yeah.
So
People are bad
that was a
people.
lot of stuff too. It was, a lot of people were really like, ugh.
You could always get a lot of people on board, but there was always going to be those select few
Right,
that
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that was kind of the thing. But I mean, we still talk to our skate team, and they're still our friends, and they're like my kids.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they're
I run
I
into all
still
of them like all
Yeah.
over the place. Like
Yep.
yeah
working at this place
Yeah.
and
Right,
that place
right.
and stuff. Like, oh hey,
yeah.
Yeah, it turns into like
kids.
less of like a hobby, let's have some fun, and more of like a family community.
And
Exactly.
it did.
Yes.
I had, the kids, I always checked on them. I was at the point where I was buying, if kids needed shoes, if, the skate kids needed shoes, I'd buy them shoes if we had the money, or, if they needed a board for a competition, we'd front them a board, stuff like that. And, I think that's where they kind of felt like they could come to us, and, if they couldn't come to their parents, it
Yeah.
was like,
Just another
Yeah.
outlet.
another outlet that
Another outlet,
they
which is
felt
good.
comfortable, and they didn't feel like they were judged or, so.
That's why I heard like they were saying before through Marie Manning.
Mhm.
Anyone that doesn't know, Marie Manning is local to Roswell. She books a lot of shows. She's a musician. She plays a lot of shows, and
Yeah.
she's friends with all of us.
Around for a
Everybody's
long
friends.
time.
UC show.
I'm trying to get her on this podcast, so if you talk to
Nice.
her,
Nice.
Oh, I'll let
Yes.
her know. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
she
hit
was
her up,
telling me,
but-
hey, these friends of mine, they own a skate shop and they're doing a show at the skate park with skateboarding competition and live music, and they need someone to help them run sound. And I was like, oh hell yeah, I'll go help.
yeah,
I like to run sound. You know me, I'm always
Yeah.
about community and music. But I also skateboarded for about 19 years. I was semi-pro for Concrete Wave in Worcester, Massachusetts for 4 years. Shout out to Concrete Wave. Love you guys.
Do a kickflip right now.
Right?
Board it.
Right?
I'm sure he would.
Yeah, and like so the skater community, like they said, when I was growing up, all my friends that skated were in bands. There was like skateboarders and musicians were close kin.
Yeah.
The two went together so well.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So it's hard to have one without the other, honestly, in my mind at least.
Yeah, gotcha. So for you, Jeff, I know you're very I don't know what the word is, like politically inclined. You know a lot about politics.
Yeah, politics are my hobby.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, you ran for a position.
Yes,
in
I ran for
politics.
city council here.
City
I'll be
council.
running again next election.
Very cool.
Yep,
very
different
cool.
ward this time because I moved.
Gotcha. So what made you want to do that? Run as far as something political.
It comes back to music again.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite music growing up was very political based. Rage Against the Machine, one of
There
my
you go.
favorites. Going all the way back to the stuff my parents listened to. They listened to like Bob Dylan, the Beatles, Joe Cocker, a lot of people that were just heavily political. I started getting into politics real early, like
Yeah.
5th grade, 6th grade. I was arguing with teachers about history and politics and stuff.
You listen to me.
Yeah, no, seriously. I'd bring in books and be like, "You're dead wrong."
Yeah.
And they're just like, "Whoa."
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that a verified
You're not supposed to know
Right.
that.
Right? But yeah, I like politics because it affects us all, The world, especially these days, is so polarized because of politics. It's getting sickening.
Yeah.
It really is. But I try to just I never fully go to any side. For me, it's more of a common sense thing. It's more about history, more about common sense, and it's more about helping fellow man.
Yeah,
doing good things.
Very cool. Very cool. So Will, going to you now. I remember back whenever you were still an Afterthought, and I didn't know Afterthought had broken up, or wasn't doing anything. But I remember we talked, and I was like, "How's the band going?" And you're like, "Oh, I left." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
cool."
So it's going
I don't
good.
I don't think
Yeah.
anybody
So
knew we broke up. Not even the guys.
I'm like, oh, it's going pretty good. But I remember we had this like a short talk about it because we were both pretty busy back at the grocery store where I worked. And I remember you were kind of like, I'm probably not gonna do anything for a while. And then not too long after, like GDP, like you joined. So was there a specific thing with GDP that kind of made you want to do it again, or was it just like,
Absolutely.
I'll try it?
Absolutely. The sound. I mean, you've heard us play.
Yeah.
And I did after I left Afterthought. I took a little over a year, maybe 2 years,
It's a while.
without doing anything.
Yeah.
And then I just happened to run into Carlos at said grocery store.
Yeah.
we
Wow.
walked past each other a couple times in the aisle and did like the kind of oh. And then
Don't
I
touch
was
me, don't touch
walking
me,
in,
don't touch me.
and then I was walking into the back and I hear somebody say, "Wait, Will?" And I turned around and then snapped and we kind of connected there and he said, "Well, come over, and hear us and just see what you think." And
Yeah.
and sure enough, I did. And right when I heard the sound, I knew it was that kind of cool alternative rock, mellow sound. And
Yeah.
I always wanted to. I love that music.
It fits you a lot.
yeah,
better
and-
than Afterthought, too,
yeah, and I mean,
I think.
I love everything, man. Like a little bit of country, hard rock, alternative stuff. Like I like a lot of everything. And when I heard the sound, I was like, I knew this is the kind of music that I wanted to make and play for a long time. I just never was able to find the right group of people. Everything always just turned out to be super heavy, or heavy but catchy, kind of like the stuff that I did with Afterthought. Lots of clean singing, but still heavy music, and I just really enjoy this.
Yeah, I remember the first time we ever played a show together, or one of the first times specifically. We were playing in Hobbs, and it was at that art center.
Oh, right.
And I remember the first time I heard you, I was like, for some reason, I don't know if you ever listened to him, but the first person that popped in my mind was Miles Kennedy.
Okay.
He played with Slash for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, damn, that's so sick. Like, it was just like super cool. And I remember also that show, the drummer was gone for like the first like half of the show.
So they-
Couldn't
yeah.
find him.
Yeah, funny story. He
I've heard
he
this story.
disappeared. we got there. We were
I
supposed
just knew he
to
was gone.
so we get into Hobbs and we show up to the place and we were supposed to play like first.
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, so you guys are gonna play first, but we're starting like 20 minutes earlier. So if you guys are ready, and everybody's ready, and then everybody's just like, well, wait, where's he at? Where's the drummer at? And spent 2 hours running around looking for him. So they made everybody else play, and then they were still cool enough to let us play like second or third to last band. It was a pretty stacked show if I remember right.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty heavy. Yeah.
we found him like 2 miles down the road, just hammered.
Oh,
Just
man.
fucking
I remember
hammered.
You guys were calling like police stations or something like that, or someone was.
Yeah,
calling
we were.
police stations,
Yeah,
right?
we were really worried. Just disappeared. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens though, I guess.
Right. Scary when someone goes missing.
Yeah, I remember another time at the same place, not the same band, but that band that I don't know if it was Shadow of the Silence. It might have been with Esty, but I remember their drummer just didn't come, and then one of the local drummers for one of the local bands in Hobbs like just took over on drums. It wasn't very good, but it was cool. It was cool. I was like, that's at least they still played.
I think it was the guy from Ruben's band, because he's the one who had booked that show.
Yeah, it was
right.
Ruben's old band.
Yeah.
Forget the
Or
name of the
Dying
band.
Hour or something like that.
No,
Sound
it
right?
was,
In Our Dying
that's
Hour.
the band that he's in now,
Oh,
but it
is
was
it?
like the band that he was in before that. He just played bass.
Oh,
and
right.
then
Yeah.
They had that a whole nother group of guys. Remember that band broke up, and then he
We have
started that In Our
flyers
Dying
with
Hour.
them
Yep.
on it. I'm gonna have to go back and look at
He's
those.
got another band now too.
Yeah, he's with Slade.
Oh,
He's
he's-
up in Albuquerque playing with
He's
Slade.
been playing that,
Yeah.
but he's
That's
got
so
another band up in, because I think he lives in Colorado now.
Yeah,
He's
he
doing
played
metal.
with some band in Colorado, some
Yeah.
heavy band now.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's still doing stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I actually just saw Slade like last week.
Mhm.
He's still doing some cool stuff.
And
I don't
he
know if you guys
actually
heard his new song that he put out.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
I
I
haven't
did.
heard it yet.
Ruben put it out, or not put it out, but like shared it.
Yeah,
That's how
Yep.
dude.
So is that kid like independently wealthy or something?
I don't really know.
Because I
like-
know the rates at the studios he's recording at. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, the
Really,
thing
dude?
is, like, don't get me wrong. Like, Slade's like, honestly, like he was one of the very.
like I love
first-
his music. I'm not knocking
I love
him or
his
nothing.
music, and like he's like the guy that really got me into music. The first band that I was ever in was in with him.
Right.
But
Nice.
but I know he likes to try to do like the best stuff he can do. Like
Right.
I asked him that too. Like when I saw him last time, I was like, "Where'd you record?" And he's like, "Up in Chicago again with I can't remember his name." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Why don't you just do stuff like here, like on your own and stuff like that?" And he's like, "Oh, well, he does it this way and has it this sound, and he has a
Yeah.
specific taste, which makes sense. I mean,
Right,
and if you
right.
can do it, by all means,
Right.
Yeah.
do it."
Exactly. Man.
But that new single he put out, ooh, it's good.
Is it?
It's
I
good.
have to go look it up.
He showed me the raw tracks when I was hanging out with him, and that stuff's really good.
Nice.
It's a lot better than the old stuff. The old stuff's good
Yeah.
too, but you could tell like he kind of like went a whole another direction.
Right.
So
Awesome.
it sounds sick. So as far as recording, where did you guys record at?
We recorded with Christopher Aguilera at E519. Aguilar, sorry. I always say his name wrong. At E519
Not from New
Studios.
Mexico.
Just outside of Roswell here. He's just south of Roswell. Kind of in the
By
little
Midway,
the
kind of-
county
Yeah, Midway,
zone.
Dexter.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. And about how long were you guys recording for?
4 hours.
4 hours.
It literally took us 4 hours to record
We
the
went
album.
in and recorded all the instrumentals live, which Chris had never done, but like that's something I've been doing for years. So
Yeah.
I kind of like helped him and talked him through it.
Okay.
We decided not to record it ourselves. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I wanted to just go to a studio and do the studio thing, and let someone else do it.
Awesome.
Um,
Awesome. So you guys did all the instruments
Yep.
live and,
Yep,
and
all live in the
as a
same
whole.
room
Yeah.
because
Very cool,
our
very cool.
songs. Honestly, a lot of our songs are like different parts that shouldn't be together in a song. So we have to keep eye contact. It would be impossible for us to play to a metronome
We
or
never write to a
individually.
click.
it'd be tough.
Yeah, because things slow down, speed up, change time.
Yeah, first time I ever
Dynamics,
recorded
yeah.
ever, we did like the metronome thing, and it was like
Rough.
this is way too fast.
Yeah. Some
But you
people
can't
can do
change
it.
You already did it, so
Right.
it's like
Yep.
Some people can do it, some can't.
Yeah.
You know, it just depends on the style of music and stuff. But Chris is really good. I've known him for a while. He recorded some Afterthought as well.
okay,
When
Yeah,
he
he
first opened his studio, they were
Yep.
like his first band.
very cool, very
He's
cool.
recorded Marie, Matt Palmer. A
Yeah.
lot of the local artists have
Yeah.
been to his studios, so it
Yeah.
was
Very
a
cool.
pleasure to go out there and record with him
And
as
this
well.
is pretty close to town. You guys were
Yeah,
saying, like
yeah,
kind of like
just
on the
outside of
outskirts?
town.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
40 miles out, if
No,
that.
No,
Yeah.
not even.
No.
It's like
Ours
maybe
like
30
10.
minutes
Yeah.
away.
No, it's like 10 miles.
Yeah.
It's like 30 minutes.
It's like a 10-minute drive.
Yeah.
Down
Well, and the
south of
kicker
town.
is he has 16 preamps.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it's easier for him to do a fuller miking system. It's easier to do it live.
Yeah.
Whereas I only have 8 preamps, at home on my system. So it made it a lot easier
Yeah.
going there.
guitars separately.
But Chris was really impressed with that we did it in 2 days, and he was like, and we weren't nitpicky about the album either. Like, most bands go in there and they want to change, a bunch of stuff, and it takes like weeks on end to make an album. And there's like a few things we did, and it was done.
We just rehearsed the hell out of it, man.
Good,
Like
good.
we practiced like crazy.
We decided what we wanted it to sound like beforehand. And
Yeah.
all that.
Okay, that's good.
Kind of pitched
Yeah.
the ideas to him.
Yeah.
And
And there was only
Yeah,
one
it's
song we
alright.
changed, like in the studio. We're outside having a cigarette break in between songs, and we decided on the song "Cellar." We only used to do the intro once. It was like one section, basically 16 bars, and just before that, we were playing a gig, and Will had to get off stage for something. I forget what he
I
was
ran
doing.
out. Yeah, I ran out to the parking lot to grab the
Yeah.
megaphone for the screamy bits.
That's right. So we ended up playing the intro section longer and made it like trippy and
Like
kinda,
psychedelic.
like it let it build a little longer. So we were outside the studio and we're like, let's do it that way.
Yeah.
And we had never even intentionally done it, and then we did it. And honestly, now like we listen to that song and we're like, I can't believe what we did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of the tracks on the album were improv.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just
we all
happened in
kinda
the
threw
studio and
extra
wow.
stuff in here and there, and worked out well.
Very cool. How many songs are on the recording?
Well,
Six?
we recorded
Physical copy, there'll be 5. Digital copy, there'll be a bonus track, so there'll be 6.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you guys have a name for it?
Yep, MRP, music ready to play.
Music ready to
Yep.
play.
The GDP EP named MRP.
It's a mouthful.
We're getting all alphabet boyish,
Tongue twister.
Do you guys have a favorite song off of the EP?
5 out of 4 would be my favorite song.
Yeah.
I like the Cellar because it's drum heavy.
I'm kind of torn between the Messenger and 5 out of 4.
I like the blues. The blues is my favorite song.
Yeah.
still.
Well, for those that don't know,
For
what's
those
the
that
name
don't
of
know
it?
what blues is, it's Till It Fades.
Till It Fades.
It
That was
started,
our single.
it started out as
released.
blues, as just a dirty blues song that we played, and then Will brought the lyrics on, and
Yeah, that song
It's-
didn't get it. That song didn't
Yeah.
get a name, like an official
Yeah.
name, until we
And-
recorded it in the studio.
Yep.
Yeah.
and originally Jeff didn't even. He was like, "Nah, that song, I don't know about it. Doesn't
It's
fit."
my
And
least
then
favorite
it was
song.
like his least favorite song, and then it's like our single, like our download single.
Yeah. That's because
So-
every time we played it live, everyone went nuts over it.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Jeff,
Yeah,
it's
they
a
wanna
shake
hear
your
it.
ass song. Like
Yeah.
people get down to that blues song.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's
So
like it's like with Amy's Not Breathing, like Four Loko. I hated
Yeah.
that. I hated that song. Like, every time we do like a
Repetitive
set,
piece,
I'd be like,
man.
"Can you please leave that out?" I'm like, "No, go through." I'm like,
But
"No,
then the whole
please."
crowd started like asking for it.
Yep.
Yeah, everyone loved it, but I can't
Right.
tell you how much I despise that song. Ask anyone that was in that when we decided set list. I'd be like, "Please, for the
Please.
love of God,
Yeah.
leave that out."
that was Jeff. He's like, "Do we have? I don't think it'll fit. I don't think it'll
Yeah,
fit."
let's
I'm
not
like,
play this.
I'm like-
Do we
Fit
want to
the rest
record
of
this?
yeah.
It is an
But
oddball song.
It is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Definitely.
it's a get down, shake your butt. So, when we
Yeah.
played in Hobbs for Ruben, that's why I think when we knew like there's
we
like some
premiered it.
chicks like getting down
Some
to it, and I'm
potential
like,
with it, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, we need to.
True.
to
That
keep
entire
playing.
show, everyone
Yeah.
stayed in the back of the bar.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then
Until
we
that's
played
done.
that song, and like the dance floor filled up. We're like, oh,
Hell yeah.
okay.
Good. What about you?
Yes.
Will, what's your favorite song off the EP?
I'd have to say it's between 5 out of 4 and Messenger.
Very cool.
Yeah. Messenger is the live and amplified video we just
Yeah.
released recently.
The lyrics to Messenger make me cry every time I hear them, man.
Yeah.
It's
good
just on that aspect, but musically, 5 out of 4 takes the cake.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I
How
like
was,
playing Messenger. On the drums, it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
fun.
How did the writing process go for the EP? Like the writing process in general for you guys? How do you guys write songs?
Just kind of somebody comes up with a riff.
Typically, yeah,
and-
no matter who it be, but we'll present a main riff,
Mhm.
and if that idea gets stuck in everyone's head, we'll just kind of work off of that.
Okay.
And we let the songs write themselves. Nothing's
Yeah.
ever forced. If it becomes forced, if it becomes a chore, we immediately back off. And
Yeah.
And
We
that
reevaluate
we kind of
things.
learned
Yes.
that because we were
Yeah.
trying to write a song.
That just
and
happened recently.
yeah, it just happened because we were trying to write a new song, and it was just like too structured. I'm like, this
Yeah.
isn't just
Yeah,
like we were getting so
forcing it
frustrated.
too hard, so we
and,
backed off of
I'm
it.
like,
And I don't think
just-
we've played it since.
You know.
Yeah.
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 like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just too forced.
We'll come
but
back
'cause
to it. We got a
yeah.
bunch
Yeah.
of gigs coming up,
Yeah.
so we'll come back to it after that.
Mhm.
But and usually will come in with his lyrics. We'll play it for him. He'll
Yeah, and
record it.
that'll-
And then,
Make the song what it is ultimately.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
will revolve around him.
And I love it. It
like-
doesn't take Will long,
No.
honestly, to get
No.
lyrics down for stuff. When we first started, when Will first came on, I was like, yeah, I want to write and sing for you guys and stuff. He pulled out his phone and recorded. At that time, I think we had like 3 songs that he liked and were really solid that we played together.
Yep.
So we recorded all 3 with his phone, and then I think it was only within a couple of weeks we had them songs
A
written.
couple days.
Cool.
Yeah. Like the next time he
The
came
next
back, he had like
Next
one
practice.
written, and then next
Yeah.
practice
Yeah.
another one written. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like
One
one
after
after
another.
another
On the ball.
sometimes.
Good, man. That's good. That's good chemistry for one too to kind
Yes.
of
Yeah.
get that going. So as far as the band, what's like the next big thing for you guys? I mean, obviously, Bless the Fall, Escape the Fate.
Right.
Uh,
Well, we
is
have the
there
album
anything else?
release coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, where's that
Yeah.
gonna be at?
So it'll be at Farley's on September 13th.
Friday
Yeah.
the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
No significance. There was just no other events that weekend.
Nobody was brave enough. to
Roswell's
host something that
superstitious
day.
enough where like
Scared,
nobody
bro.
booked that weekend.
Fucking cowards.
Yeah.
Cool. That's good. So September 13th.
Yep.
What time does it start?
So we're basically advertising 7 to 9. What we're gonna
Okay.
do at 7 o'clock is we'll be there. Our friends will be there, families will be there.
Give us a hug, shake our
Anybody who's
hands.
welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we're gonna do a meet and greet / social cocktail hour.
Okay.
Kind of, if you're there and you're old enough, have a beer with us.
Yeah.
That's a phone ring.
I can hear it slide.
yeah.
So sorry.
I threw my phone at the door. Give me a minute.
This
So yeah,
is way more important.
Should just answered it and been like, "Give me a second."
Right?
I panicked.
Oh jeez. So is it just you guys like on the bill?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're gonna, like I said, we'll have our social hour, and then from 8 to 9 we're gonna play live.
Okay.
We'll have copies of the EP. We'll have our shirts and we'll have stickers. We'll have all our stuff. So
Cool, man. Very cool.
We'll have
hopefully
a nice
sell some
little
of those too.
package deal if you want to buy all 3.
What?
Awesome. Alrighty. So I guess I'm gonna
Yeah.
throw in a couple just like random questions.
All right.
So if you guys could do like your dream show, like one show, any 3 bands, whether it be local, national, whatever act, not including your band. So 4 bands total, 3 of your dream bands, then G.D.P. What would it be? Starting with Will.
3 bands plus us.
Yeah.
I'd have to go with obviously Nothing More, which is absolutely my
That
favorite.
band blew my mind. I haven't even thought about that band in a long time. Holy shit.
Yeah, they're good.
I remember seeing them when I was like 12, and I was like, that band's crazy good.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They would be on there. Probably AFI.
Oh man, that'd be good too.
Yeah. A third band, I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of Silver Sun pickups lately.
Okay.
I think we would what's the word I'm looking for? Blend with them pretty
Yeah.
good. Our
So as
sounds.
far as AFI, would you look like older AFI or newer AFI?
I'm one of,
December Underground. I'd say that.
see,
area.
and I go way even before that. I like Black Sails and
Hallows
stuff.
EP, stuff like that.
Yes, yeah.
That stuff's good.
Yeah.
I actually just got All Hallows on a vinyl.
Oh, fantastic.
Austin. It was like
That's great.
I couldn't not get it. It was way too cool. That's cool. What about you, Jeff?
So I'd have to say probably Tool.
There you go.
Yeah, always been a huge Tool fan ever since the Opiate CD. I bought that without even knowing who they were one day and never looked back.
Yeah, my dad told me to come pick up some tools, and for some reason,
Right? I just saw it in the record store. Well, remember, like, I don't know, like, if everyone remembers, but I remember, like, back in the day, you know, you go to a music store, like, whatever, like, we had, what was that store here? The music store that closed.
Ginsberg.
No, to buy
Hastings?
CDs, Hastings.
Yeah.
You know, every area had their
Rest
own
in
version
peace,
of that.
dog.
We had, where I grew up, we had Strawberries, it was called. So you just go down there and buy music without knowing what it was. I don't know. That was a thing for me in the 90s and
Yeah.
a lot of my friends. And that's how I found Tool, was just random purchase. Like,
Yeah.
cool cover, they're metal. I'll give them a try.
I used to do that too.
Yeah.
At Hastings, I'd buy random CDs. And just
But
check 'em
definitely
out.
Tool. I've actually, with their tour coming, I've started already soliciting their tour manager through email. It's probably going to spam, but, you know, a kid can dream. But if it wasn't, if not them, then Primus.
Kid can dream.
Primus is actually my favorite band. I would love to open for them.
Okay.
And then anything Tom Morello's in. I would say Rage, but they're not around. Audio Slave, but they're not around. Prophets of Rage would be fun.
Yeah.
Should I even open for his Night Watchman?
Night Watch.
Very cool.
Yeah, but we can't have like a 5-piece band open for an acoustic act. It's
Yeah.
too weird.
Me, I'd have to say Census Fell for sure, man. They just always bring that energy. their music, their lyrics have saved my life more than once, man. You know, Thursday would be awesome to see on that same set, along with The Houses We Die In. For
Don't fuck
sure.
with me, man. Don't fuck with me.
No, I'm kind of jealous of that EP, dude.
It's honestly not that great, man.
No, it is.
Fire.
It's good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
super
That shit
impressed,
sucked
honestly.
to write, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I was like, that's
Pursue that
Hank?
That was the
What?
hardest
Hank.
3 months of my entire life.
I
bro.
was impressed. I couldn't even believe
Yes.
like
Thanks,
that was
seriously.
you.
Dude, every time someone starts to bring stuff up, I'm like, don't say anything, don't say anything, because I take shit too serious. So
No, man, no. But
So
that'd be crazy. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
surprised you didn't say like the Used or something, man. I remember the first time I ever played the Used in here, no one knew who it was but you. I was like, hell yeah.
yes,
the
dude.
one we were singing along
Yes.
to?
Mhm.
What's the one we were singing?
Probably bulimic.
There you go. There you go.
So I don't know.
So let me check my
Yeah, look at your-
Spotify.
at your
I'm like,
I know. I
so
can't
you're
even
saying
think of-
perfect show. So like in a perfect world, and in a perfect world, the Beatles would have never broken up. So like I
Exactly.
want to open
Okay.
for the Beatles. Like,
Ooh.
that'd be
Uh-huh.
the dopest fucking thing ever.
Mhm.
And then like I don't know,
Katy
maybe
Perry.
like Coheed and Cambria, maybe.
Yes.
Cool.
Mhm.
There you go.
And then got me on the spot right.
And you even have Spotify opened up. See?
Yeah.
See?
Just like Chan, fuck it.
Sean, there you
Sean,
go.
yeah, just make it a weird ass show.
You ever hear,
Yeah.
Covet?
Yes, I love Yvette Young. She's so
Covet's
good.
sick,
Yes.
bro.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is.
I just started listening to like a week ago. I'm like, this is badass. Like, I don't like music
Her
when I see
solo
like
stuff's
Sean.
really great.
Yeah,
too.
like Sean. I'm not a big fan of Sean. I don't like that kind of like instrumental crazy shit. But like when I heard Covet, I was like, holy shit, that's good.
Yes.
Something about that sound is just sick.
Yes.
What about you?
So, like Brady said, I think in a perfect world, I'd like to open for the Beatles, of course, because they were my biggest influence. Circus Survive. I really
Yes.
wish someday, but and then a lot. I listen to a lot of acoustic stuff too, which I know I will never play with an acoustic band, but I listen to a lot of Annie DeFranco and Joni Mitchell, and they're a lot of big influence on me. But so
The obscurity would fit
obscure,
well.
bands, people that nobody's ever heard of. So
I also wouldn't mind opening for Dub Trio.
That'd be dope. But
They're an instrumental band out of Brooklyn, New York. That's just
Uh-huh.
mind-blowingly good,
Very
like
cool.
insanely good.
Very cool. So out of all of you guys, who's the biggest diva in the band?
I'll admit it. It's me, man.
I was gonna
I
say
take
none
this
of
shit
us.
serious, though.
I was gonna say
so-
none of us, honestly. When none of us are divish about it, like this whole thing, like it's funny, a lot of us have been in many bands throughout our career and stuff, but like this band has moved the fastest.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
Yeah,
Like, really has.
seriously, like we had just like ton of gigs. We already got an album coming and merch and everything, and it's like it hasn't even been that long.
And it's good.
And it's because we didn't stress none of it.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
has
Take your
really
time,
pushed
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Like
It's
honestly,
like kind of find the pieces that go together. And then
Exactly.
play 'em,
Yep.
so
right.
it's-
A lot
yeah,
of stuff
it's
just
pretty good.
fell on us.
Well, a
Yeah,
lot of it
honestly.
with Will just being on the band, in the band, he's real good about, pushing, just being a salesman, I guess.
Yeah.
It's your salesman pitch. You
Yeah.
really know how to get us out there.
Yeah,
Right.
that helps
So,
tremendously.
He's like, yeah, look at all this wine section. By the way, my,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
That's exactly how it goes too.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it goes. Like I was the last 2 weeks that I've been working. Like I'll go into a store and I'll work my store and I'll talk to the manager and I'll bill an order and then I'll be like, oh, by the way, pull out my phone, send a text message real quick. Hey, check out that link I just sent you. And then I get a text message like 20 minutes later, like, holy shit, Will, you do this?
yeah. You go to the customer service care, like, yeah, you see the sign that says like you have to be 18 to buy cigarettes. Can I tape my EP?
Yeah. Right. Well, and we've gotten really creative, and I honestly wouldn't even say it's creative. You know what I'm having a lot of luck with? Trying things that worked 15 years ago in other
Uh-huh.
cities
Yes.
here. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, where'd you come up with that idea? It's like, I didn't.
Old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when we started doing the pop-up shows,
Right.
everyone's like, oh my God, that's genius. How'd you come up with this idea? It's like, well, we did them in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's about the right
that.
time for Roswell to start
Yeah.
catching up to
Right.
that. So.
Yeah. Well, we do
Yeah.
a lot of charity events, just
Yeah.
for, we all believe in community, homeless
Yep.
outreach, and
Yep.
we just did a pop-up for the Horizons Park, which is the park for all-inclusive park for the autistic.
Okay.
So for any
Yes.
disabled, children. So we're real big on helping community, and we don't ask for anything from it. All everything we get goes to them. And I think that has got us far as well.
Yeah, we got a lot of karma points doing stuff like that. 'Cause
Yeah.
about half
Yeah.
of our shows are charity gigs.
Right.
Cool.
Definitely.
That's not how karma.
True.
Yeah, mine to it, Jeff.
Jeff's over here jinxing.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any like crazy like show stories at all? You guys have been in band too long, but
Yeah.
anything nuts happen?
Not too crazy.
Well, our Lubbock
Lubbock.
show was our Lubbock
Yeah.
show was.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I'll let Will tell you
Amateur
about that one.
hour.
Where do I start? First off, we show up to the gig and the sound man tells us, "Yeah, we're like 6 hours behind." We
Where was
went
this
till
at?
this was in Lubbock.
Where
This
at?
was
Out in
So
the
the
middle
Fox
of
Somebody's
Den.
house.
middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Somebody's
Yeah, it was
somebody's
called the
house.
Fox Den.
It
There was a 420 show that was supposed to be in the city, but the police in Lubbock started preemptively harassing the event like months in advance.
Yeah.
So they were like, all right, screw it. We're going to do it outside of town. It was a good move, but at the same time, no one showed up when
Yeah.
they moved it. And the whole
The
thing was
sheriff
just...
It was
still
just-
harassed 'em.
Yeah, they had highway patrol at both ends of the street it was on, like searching cars as people were leaving and stuff.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So
But-
you show up, they say
So
6 hours behind.
Yeah, 6 hours behind. He says, "Yeah, we were supposed to be done at midnight because it was like a 3-day event.
Okay.
Last night we were supposed to finish up by midnight. The last band didn't go on until 4 a.m. And I was like, what the hell? And then so he says, and right now we're 6 hours behind. By the way, this isn't my stuff. The sound guy, he had to go pick up somebody, the bass player for the next band. He had to go pick him up, and I'm just kind of here running things and just letting these guys do whatever.
Very
So-
disorganized.
Yeah.
Leg too?
Yeah,
Well, then
he had
we
like
Yeah,
a
he had a
broken
cast on
leg
his
and-
leg. And
The sound guy had a broken leg.
Oh Jesus.
And we were
So-
watching one of the bands right when we got there, right? And then they got done, and they were over there like unscrewing the cymbals one at a time,
Yeah, just like-
and
They were
taking their
their
time,
no
like taking
wonder you're
everything
behind.
apart. And we're like, "This is why you're behind.
Yeah.
Get your shit off the
Yeah,
stage,
exactly.
man. Like, let's
But
go."
everybody was drunk by noon, and
Yep.
it was just
Yeah,
it
was
was
not
a disaster.
well
It was too
executed at
hot,
all.
and the
No.
stage was super small. And
Yep. And
We-
then
It was
my
just-
van broke down on like the day we were going home the next day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Brady and I just
We
fixed
pulled
that
my
thing.
engine
Yeah, it
apart
was-
on the side of the road, dude. It was like crazy.
Like, we're never doing Lubbock
And then somehow the
again.
guy with the biggest freaking arm gets it down in between and grabs a wrench, man. Like,
yeah, we dropped a wrench down in it, and
Oh,
it was horrible. And it
Yeah.
was Easter Sunday.
it was. I
Yeah.
was just to say that. Yeah, it was actually
Yeah.
Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easter Sunday, we were all
Yeah,
trying to
it
get
was
home, and it was
That's rough.
we were stuck. But thankfully, Brady's family like fed
yeah,
us after
they helped
that,
us
and
out, man.
Yeah.
I was
cool.
like,
Steamed
it was,
ham.
It was good. So
Huh?
My grandparents lived there.
yeah,
Oh,
so we
yeah.
all kind of
Yeah.
crashed their Easter and
Yeah.
ate, and you
Saw
know,
some
they
baby
fed us.
pictures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to see Brady's baby pictures. So.
Embarrassment. for the
One of my
days.
favorite show stories is actually here at the UC.
Uh-huh.
And it
Oh.
was an early gig, like one of our first gigs.
was
I
without
can't even
Will.
remember. Yeah, it was before Will.
Yeah, it was just
Um,
us
we were
three, I
playing
think.
something here. I think it was the
Well, Brady was
Alianza.
with
Oh
us.
yeah.
The Alianza Rocks
Yeah.
event.
Mhm.
And we were getting ready for the gig, and my drum leg broke. Like getting everything into the car and getting ready to come over here, and I'm like, screw it. I'll just.
Was he?
Yeah,
Oh,
Will
we were
was
here.
Will was there.
Yeah,
I
we
couldn't
started-
I was like,
remember.
just
It was
screw
one
it.
of the first shows.
I think it was one of
So
our
many
first shows
things,
with him.
man.
So we just like, all right, let's get over there. So I get over here, and the leg's all messed up. So I just kind of like jammed a cowbell under it to hold that side up and stuff. And my drums were just in poor condition at that time. And so we playing like halfway through our set. One of my toms just slid off, rolls off the
Shit.
stage, and like rolls away.
And some dude's
And, like-
like, "Here you go."
Yeah.
Dude was
Yeah.
hanged.
Yep. And then like immediately after that, because I'm still playing, we're in the middle of a song,
Yeah.
so I'm still going. And like all of a sudden, like it gets so heavy apart, and I hit my kick, and my whole kick like rolled right off.
Oh,
Like,
Like he
just
played,
fell over.
Yeah.
he
Just
played
fell
so
right off
hard
the
that the whole
stage
drum
and-
just collapsed.
The whole by then the whole band was like, what the?
I didn't
hell?
know
Like,
any.
There's like drum parts rolling by them and stuff.
I didn't know anything was going
like
on
in
because
the
I'm standing
audience,
at the.
like cymbals rolling by
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like here you
Is
go.
this a Nirvana
Yeah.
concert?
I just put my head down on the snare. I was so embarrassed, dude. And then like everyone like you, Hank, and was it Brandon P come running over with another piece?
Put
And,
it on.
yeah, everyone like threw my drums together, and like it was our last song, so we like.
because I don't know how to put shit.
But we like picked that up like so pro because like I
Yeah.
said, the whole drum
Oh,
set
it's
fell
funny.
apart. I was like just like so embarrassed, and it got thrown together real quick, and I just like quickly counted to 4, and we like bam like went right into the
Yeah.
song and finished.
Oh, that was the seller. That was
Yeah,
that's
it
our
was the
hardest
cellar.
song.
Yeah.
Yes.
we finished the song, they fell apart again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I said, I didn't know anything was
That's
going
when
on.
I told Jeff, okay, I think it's time to invest in new drum
Yep.
Yeah,
rigs
we've
or
upgraded
new
the drums
hardware.
big time since then.
It's good.
Yeah, I turned around, and that's when I realized what happened because the music just stopped, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't know what was going on. I turned around to be like, guys, that's not the end of the song. What the fuck are you doing?
Right.
And I see Jeff's drums are just on the floor, and Jeff's just hunched over him. I was like, oh, that's what happened.
And I'm trying
yeah.
to like still play with the bass, and I'm like, okay, like what are we doing here? I'll
Yeah,
just
and
keep
that
playing.
song, it's like once you lose the drums, it's done.
That reminds me of this funny story. So the old band that I was in, Rivalry, we went on tour, and we played in Oklahoma City, and that show was just kind of like whack to begin with. We played like this really weird dive bar, but there was 3 bands. It was us and 2 locals, and it was a late show. Remember, we were dead set in the middle, so we're done. Trailers loaded up, and we're just hanging out, and the last band goes on, and each band had an hour set, but you know, Rivalry only had 30 minutes worth of a set that we practiced. We only played 30 minutes, but
Yeah.
that band went on, and they were called 15 and Change was their name, and they weren't really that bad. They were pretty good, honestly. They put a couple Misfit covers, and I thought that was super
Nice.
sick.
Nice.
But it was a bar, and they all got like they were all hammered. Like everyone in the band
yeah.
was hammered, and I remember they played for like over an hour, and I'm like just sitting there waiting, and it's like 2 in the morning. It was a late show, so I'm waiting, and I like to stick around, so I'm waiting for them to finish so that we can get our guarantee and take off. So they're playing for like ever, and the rest of the guys stayed in the van, partly because where we played like wasn't the worst part of Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
It was really scary.
Somebody gotta watch your shit.
Yeah.
Been there, man. Yeah. Don't want to mess around.
Yeah, so we're chilling, and this band's probably playing for like maybe like an hour and 10 minutes, and the drummer's like, you could tell he's getting tired, he's getting real sloppy and stuff, and they keep playing. The bass player keeps announcing new songs, they keep playing, and finally the drummers got sick of it. I remember they were playing, and he gets up from his drum kit like while they're playing, and he starts just taking it apart mid-song.
Wow.
And walking parts out, and then the guitarist was like, yeah, man, I'm done too.
Yeah.
And then the bass player was like, fuck it, and he grabbed the guitar and just did like a legit like maybe like 8 or 10 more songs.
Wow.
just saying with the electric guitar, and he was hammered, man. It was crazy.
Wow.
They played like 2 hours,
Damn.
but
When you don't know to stop.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
watching
seriously.
your drunk friend trying to still play, entertain you.
yeah, then we were finally
Right, I'm
done.
outta here.
Yeah, we got done. I got my $40, started walking out, and then we were chilling, and then we're getting ready to leave because we were trying to figure out what we were gonna do, like if we were gonna sleep there, or if we were gonna head to Kansas City the next day.
Ooh.
And we hear like someone walking by the trailer and messing with the trailer, and Carlos, my buddy Carlos, was playing bass for us at the time, and he runs out and he just rushes this like homeless like crackhead lady, and she's like, he just rushes her, and I can't remember what he yelled. He yelled something dumb like, I have a gun or something, and she like ran away.
Nice.
That show was cool. That whole tour was funny.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So as far as like with GDP, what's like your guys' goals with the band? I mean, like you guys said, it started off as a hobby, and it's kind of getting pretty big. Do you guys plan on touring or anything like that?
We'd like
or-
to. We're talking about it.
Okay.
It's a weird thing because like me and Will are married and have kids and families.
Not together.
And stuff.
That's another
yeah, not together.
Yeah, the only couple is
That's the way
me and
that came
Carlos.
out.
So.
Carlos and Jocelyn are actually a couple, and Jocelyn has kids as well and stuff. Brady's a youngin' bachelor; he could do anything.
Available.
Yeah, we keep him around to remind us
Any
like what that
takers
life
out
is.
there?
What are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
We like to remind ourselves what that life is about, so
Yeah.
we keep him around.
The youngin.
But we have talked about it. We're talking about doing a tour next year in 2020. You know, hopefully by then we'll have a full album out. We're still
Yeah.
writing. We still have, you know,
Yes.
new
Yeah, we've
songs.
got like 5 or
Expect a
3 or
lot
4
more
new
from
songs
GDP.
that
Yeah.
we're working on right
Yeah,
now.
the EP literally isn't even out yet. And we have new material.
Yeah.
Um,
Like,
Do you guys plan on going back to the same place to record again, or are you guys gonna branch out for
possibly.
that?
We talked about
It's
it.
early
Yeah.
stages,
We're
so
toying
it's
Yeah.
kinda hard
with
to
the
say
idea
definitively.
of turning my family's gun shop into a studio, and I want to record our tracks there and then just send them to Chris.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Mix
way,
and
all we
master.
pay him is mix
We're
and
Yeah,
just
master.
we have
Just
2
done.
engineers in the band, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can record ourselves. I just don't want to mix and master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
there's a big conflict with mixing your own music. You
It's
know.
hard.
It is.
Yeah,
It
It
is.
is. It is.
difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
You
it's
Can't be
a big-
biased, man.
Yeah, it's
rough,
super hard to
like-
do. Honestly, the drums would have probably been way louder if I mixed it.
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
glad Chris mixed it.
Although your live mix on the Messenger for Live
Yeah.
and
That was a
Amplified
good one, yeah.
came out phenomenal,
Thank you.
Jeff. I've
Thank
been
you.
wanting to give you credit for that.
That loud amplified
Super
stuff
good
was
job.
awesome. Like
Thank
every
you.
single thing was crazy cool. I remember
Yeah,
when we
it's-
did the Amy's one at the practice pad.
Oh,
right
Dude,
there.
yeah.
I can't believe we recorded you guys live in like a giant like
Metal
Warehouse,
building.
yeah.
Warehouse,
yeah, and you didn't even have a monitor, nothing. You were just like doing vocals like into the mic with Amy's not breathing behind you.
I couldn't hear shit.
Yeah. No, that came out really good though. Like I love the live
fun.
and amplified stuff, honestly.
Yes, yes.
It's got me places and it's got me to record bands that I otherwise would never record.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know, in this
Branches
day and
you
age,
out for
everyone
sure,
can
too.
record all over the, like record in their own house. I'm sure there's 30 studios in every city in the
Yeah,
U.S. now.
at least.
So nobody's traveling like the old days in the 60s
Mhm.
and 70s, like going to specific studios and stuff like that. So the live and amplified thing just allows me to travel to
Yeah.
them and film and record bands
Yeah.
all over.
You ever heard of Audio Tree or like Little Elephant?
Yeah. Yep.
Those guys are sick. I remember like that was like what I loved, and then whenever I heard you guys are doing stuff like that, I was like, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we weren't even going to do our band, honestly.
Uh-huh.
When we first set up Live and Amplified, you know, we did this whole conflict interest thing,
Mm-hmm.
never to include our own projects.
Yeah.
We try to stay out of like our own material.
Yeah.
You know, like everything we put out is about the band, about the act, about the music.
Yeah.
But you know, with this last trip, we had so many people cancel on us, and the schedule got tight. So
you gotta fill holes.
yeah, we and we spend a lot of money on the trips. Everything comes out of our pockets, so it's like we need as much material as possible. Tom was actually staying at my house when he came from Florida. Tom's the videographer, the guy that does all the
Is he
editing.
still living up in Florida?
Yeah, he's still in
Very cool.
Florida.
Very cool.
So he came and he stayed at my place, and he like literally got there after like driving straight from Florida. It was like, all right, let's set up and film your band because we had practice that night, and
We
Came out pretty
We
good.
had new microphones too.
yeah,
They were
MXL
playing
hooked
out,
us up, dude. They
Yeah,
sent
they
us a
sent us a
huge
pack
box full of
of
mics, and they're like, try them out. We love what you do.
Sick, man.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah, that's a really cool like experience, getting a
Yeah.
bunch of free mics and whatnot.
Yeah.
I always use their mics because they sound great and they're not expensive.
Very cool. Do you have like drum mics or stuff like that, or?
I
just-
don't have MXL drum mics yet. I wish. We actually were going to get drum mics from them, but then they ended up sending us
Oh, that pop.
the 990, the Fire,
Oh.
because we have their the MXL 990 with the blue light. So they sent us the one with the red light because we pitched this whole Fire and Ice sheet
Oh, okay.
idea, which actually we did, and it came out
It
great.
came out
It did.
really good.
Cool. Yeah, I need to get some drum mics for here, and then I'm pretty much set. It's like all I need.
Awesome.
Honestly, just go with Shure.
That's what they have a
Just
good.
get a
like,
bunch of
like a good
57s and a
pack.
58
Yeah,
Yeah.
is all you really need. And some nice
Oh,
overhangs.
you want like a Beta 52 or
Right,
something like
right.
that for the
That's what I meant. The 52, not the 58. Yeah, the 52 for the kick, and then like 57s for the kit. The only thing that sucks with the 57s is they're super long,
Yeah.
so positioning kind of sucks and
Yep.
stuff. They get in the way.
I've recorded a couple of drums here. Most of them were like smaller kits though, so it wasn't too hard.
Right.
Well,
feel like the
actually,
older ones
Anytime
would
you
be-
want help, man. Like if I'm available, like just message me. If you're like, hey, you want to come by and sit in on a session, more than happy.
Yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
I love doing that. So.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Learn some shit. 'Cause I
Well,
don't know
the,
what the fuck I'm doing.
That's how I met Christopher at the studio we recorded at, because when he first set that place up and got interested in recording, Will and Afterthought went to him.
Yep.
And I had just become friends with him on Facebook, and he knew I recorded their first album, so he's like, you want to come by and sit in and give me pointers and stuff? I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it.
Very cool.
Yeah, man, there's no point in making people just because they're trying to do the same thing you are. Don't make them your competition. Reach out to them. How can I help you? What
Yes.
can I do?
Yes.
Can I come sit in? Can I work with you? Then you become a mentor.
Yeah.
And there's no competition. You work together.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And that's how you
gotcha.
keep communities like this nice and tight instead of everyone at each other's throats and drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's enough of that shit in the big cities. We don't need it here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like the music scene here. We're not trying to compete. We're actually trying to bring the music scene together.
Yeah.
And that's why if we
United,
play
yeah.
like, hey, you want to jump on a show with us, or we're always down to have other bands, because we're not about like, oh, well, we're
Just
better.
us. It's not
Right.
G.D.P.
It's
the
never,
music.
it's like
a family.
trying to bring this scene back to Roswell, because it was big for a little bit, and then
It died.
it died. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're trying to do, is trying to get these people out there and like get it back.
And just
Gotcha.
Seeing the last show we played here at the Unity Center, seeing Civil Black, Marionette, just everyone reunite because of GDP.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
It was cool.
that's cool,
It was
man, to
cool.
know that you're putting that in people.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Mhm.
Lighting
definitely.
fire for sure again.
Yeah,
which is
and
awesome.
I think a lot of the local bands are seeing us snag up all the bigger gigs, because now the Liberty's bringing in, heavier acts
Yeah.
and stuff. And they're seeing us kind of get on them all, and I think it's kind of pushing people like, oh
Yeah.
wait, we could do this
Yeah.
too, like, because we ain't trying to do them all,
Nope.
No.
and we got no hate if someone gets picked over us for the next one.
Right.
Honestly, we feel like we shouldn't be doing them all anyway.
Yeah.
'Cause
Right.
It gets oversaturated.
Yeah.
Yep.
When it's the same band every time, nobody wins.
No,
Yeah.
no.
So I mean, and that's the thing, man. I mean, you got to sell tickets. Josh wants you to sell tickets,
That's
but
the thing about
so what? It's not too hard to sell tickets for these
The
bigger acts. But
experience
they
is
sell
worth
themselves.
those tickets, man.
Right. Right. And we all hate the whole play for exposure thing, but when you play on a stage with someone, that's an international touring act, that's exposure.
Well,
Yeah.
not only that, but
It is.
somebody who inspired you to want to
Right.
write your own music, watching those guys growing up with that type of music, man. For me, it's just, I'm ready to just like die and be in heaven, dude. Like, damn.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
when Will first told Carlos, first the original with Hawthorne Heights, I was gonna take Carlos for his birthday to see Hawthorne Heights, and then Will was like, "Guess what?" And I was like, he texted the band chat, and he was like,
Happy fucking
"Yeah."
Yes,
So
yes.
I was like, "Well, there you
We're
go. I don't
opening
even have to buy
instead.
tickets. You're not
Right,
gonna be
yep.
on stage with him." So
So that if you play in a band and if you've got to open for some of your inspirations,
It's
you know the
awesome.
feeling,
is.
dude.
It's
So
It's awesome.
great.
Yeah, it's a great feeling.
I remember
If
being
you
like,
play, just chase that dream, dude. It's worth it.
I remember
It's
being
worth
like
it.
15. I was 16. It was like right when I joined Amy's. I was still in high school, and Marcos texted me and he's like, "Hey, do you like Die Art is Murder?" It's like this heavy
Yes.
deathcore band. And I was like, "Yeah, man." I thought we were gonna cover a song, so I was like, "Man, I'm trying to think what song he wants to cover." That's all we were talking about covers.
Yeah.
And he's like, "We got a show offer with them in Lubbock," and I was like, "No fucking way."
Nice.
That's
that
cool.
was awesome. That was like highlight
Yes, man.
of my life.
Yes.
Me and my wife drove
in
up to
high school.
Albuquerque to see you guys open for Atreyu.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
That was
It was another big
That was a
moment for
cool
you
show.
guys,
You know,
man.
we were
Yeah.
both fans of Atreyu, so when you guys picked up the show, we were like, let's make a night of it. My wife was like right on the edge of the pit, like she was pregnant, like 4 months
Yeah.
pregnant, 5 months
Yeah, I
pregnant. She's all like,
remember-
I don't give a
remember.
fuck.
That's like the first time
Metal.
I've ever gotten so nervous that I like threw up at a show and then almost cried.
I remember seeing you in the alley before the show, and I'm like, "What's up, Hank?" And you're just like,
I was like,
"Hi."
Fucked.
Yeah. You kind of had this like deer in the headlights look. Like, I don't know what's going on, man.
Because I remember like this band Tusk played and
Ooh.
we saw that like they opened and there was like I stood out for them and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then we went back when it was our turn. I'm like loading stuff up and I didn't like look up the whole time. And then I like put down like this is back when he had that ego riser and I sat
Yep.
down. And I look up and just the whole room and the balcony was packed and I was like, oh jeez, that was rough.
What a
Yeah,
feeling,
that was
though,
rough.
man. Like, whoa.
Actually, me and my wife joke a lot that that's what got my little one Clementine. She's
Uh-huh.
almost 3 now, but that's what got her into music. Was because when we went to that show is when she first time she felt her kick. Was
Uh-huh.
we were at that show and she's like, damn, she's kicking me like crazy. And now like whenever we have band practice, these guys will even tell you she comes over and she's like, my turn, and she'll get on the drums.
I see the pictures.
Yeah, the other day she walked up, right? We got her a xylophone somewhere. She walked up, like, drops the xylophone in the middle of the floor where we jam and just kind of looks up like, I'm in the band now.
Yeah.
It was so damn cute.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping she gets into music. It'd be really neat.
Yeah.
Cool. I know you're not looking for a 6th member, but
Right?
Well,
Well, if we could find a keyboard player.
Yeah. I tell my wife all the time because at practices she'll wander over, grab 2 sticks out of my stick bag, and just start playing like
Yeah.
on the floor tom while I'm playing.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, if we're at a show and she does that, just let her. I'm like, that's bonus cuteness right there. You know, like
That's
special
extra
guest.
brownie points,
Yeah,
man.
I'm like this guest appearance status.
Very cool. Alrighty, guys. Well, getting pretty close to the end of this. Do you guys
Yeah.
have any closing thoughts or anything you guys want to?
Let's plug our social media.
Yeah. You can find us on Facebook at gross.domestic.people, on Twitter at G.D.P Roswell, and you can also Instagram, right?
Instagram
The
GDP
same?
Roswell as well.
GDP Roswell. And our email, gdproswell@gmail. So
Very cool.
Upcoming shows, we are playing September 12th at Antigua up in North Main in Roswell. That's a really awesome restaurant, good food, and we'll be playing, so it'll be really fun.
Yeah.
Then the official EP release on the 13th at Farley's. And we're actually working on trying to get another gig on the 14th, like somewhere down on South Main, and we're going to do like a Main Street tour.
That'd be cool.
So, yeah. And then, of course, Bless the Falls, we'll be opening for them at the Liberty on October 8th.
Awesome.
And we have tickets for sale.
Yeah.
We will deliver, and they're cheaper than buying them online.
Yeah.
no taxes or fees.
Yep.
Hell yeah. I fucking hate taxes and fees.
Me too. I'm a libertarian.
Hate
Man.
it.
Those words are like, I hold a cross to them.
And we do have our merch will be in. It'll be at the release
yeah.
party. Probably also hopefully at Antigua as well. So
Yep.
that'll be our shirts. Want a sticker, or CD.
Yeah.
So
The
you
13th, we're releasing the hard copy, and then we figure 3 weeks to 4 weeks after that, we'll have everything online.
Everything online.
Yeah.
Cool. And you guys already have do you guys have a single out already?
Yes.
We do. Yes.
Yes.
Till It Fades is released on Reverb Nation. You can actually get a free download.
Okay.
For a short time only.
For a short
Yes,
time,
'cause
yeah.
Once
So
it's up online, we're pulling the free download because it'll be a bonus track if you buy the album digitally.
Gotcha.
right now it's free download. We've got a lyric video out for it, and then we have the live and amplified video for Messenger as well.
Awesome.
We got a couple of our covers coming from Live and Amplified. So
Cool.
Look
watch out
forward
for
to that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for
Thank you, Hank.
Thank you, Thad.
coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a Hank or Thad.
Is that what it's called?
Dadcast.
It's the Thadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I changed it to Thad when I moved. I was
Okay.
like, bucket.
Right.
Different place, different me.
Right?
Nothing wrong with
Exactly.
that, bro.
So thank you.
Thank
awesome,
you, man.
Thank you.
Alrighty, and closing off the show today, we are going to end with actually a song from GDP coming off of their new record, or new EP, I should say. This song is called Till It Fades. Once again, this is Seventh Circle Podcast. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys next time. Here is Till It Fades by GDP.